Anxiety is an experience that nearly every single one of us as humans on the planet right now can relate to. We are living through some of the most uncertain, chaotic, and fearful times ever. Let's be real, it takes a lot of courage to be a human being right now. So in this video, we're going to be talking about what anxiety is through the lens of the nervous system, how to create the conditions to release anxiety, and then specific somatic exercises and principles to help you release and heal your anxiety. What's up, everyone? My name is Lizzy. I'm the creator of Empower Body, Mind, Soul, ritual fitness and somatic self-care for paradigm-shifting women. So let's get right into it. What is anxiety from a nervous system perspective? When we experience more fear, more stimulus than we have the capacity to cope with and tolerate in that moment, we shift from our safe, socially engaged, like everything's cool nervous system state, we call it ventral vagal, and into a sympathetic activation. Okay, this is known as fight or flight. If there is a tiger chasing us, this state is really adaptive. We want that nervous system to click into this sympathetic activated state. This is the state where our pupils become dilated. We are honing in on that danger and on that threat. Our blood pressure is going to raise, our heart rate's going to raise, blood is going to flow out to the extremities. We are literally getting ready to fight a tiger or to run away from a tiger. And if that was actually happening, we'd be damn happy that our body, our animal body, clicks into this state organically, right? We don't have to actually think about it. Or if there's a car rolling onto our kid, right? We're just we're gonna do the thing that needs done. So it's really important that we look through the lens of the nervous system to understand these states at a deeper physiological level, and so that we can actually maybe even appreciate them instead of judge, condemn, and shame them. Okay, so when we are in sympathetic activation, when we are having that anxiety flush through us, tune in. What are some of the triggers for you specifically that send you into anxiety? It's really important that we understand what our triggers are and that we understand what are actually some of the symptoms and feelings and sensations in our bodies, as well as some of the thoughts that we start to think in our brain when this state comes online. We may have been in anxiety so long that we don't actually know the difference of not being in anxiety. But when we start to use these practices to regulate ourselves and we start to become more somatically attuned to what's going on in our body, we can start to recognize those small little subtle cues that signal to us that we are starting to go into anxiety and into sympathetic activation, so we can start to support ourselves in those first moments of anxiety rather than when we are purely freaking out. And we all know that our best work, our best communication does not happen from this state of anxiety. So it really serves us to understand, oh, I'm getting into that sympathetic activation. I'm getting into this anxious state. I'm going to take this time to care for my nervous system instead of, writing that email or firing off that text. One of the important things to understand about sympathetic is that it is mobilizing, right? It's we gotta do something now. And all we can see is that tunnel vision of the threat or of the problem, of the scary thing, right? And so our entire world gets super small and all we can focus on is that. And we have to solve it now. So the impulse within us is going to be to do the thing as fast as possible, try to create a solution and figure the thing out as fast as possible. But that never really supports us in the long run, right? We usually end up making more of a mess when we create and relate from that anxious, sympathetic state. So when we can understand that this is just simply our body clicking online to protect us from a perceived or real threat, we can start to be more compassionate with ourselves, and we can say, you know what? Time out. Here I am, I'm going into anxiety, I'm in a sympathetic activation. Let me disconnect from my work, my technology, whatever I'm doing, and let me go take some time to drop into my body and to move this energy through. If you didn't watch the previous video about how to release negative emotions through your body, I recommend checking that out. We have to actually create the conditions required to feel and release this anxiety. First thing that we need is safety. We need a safe, non-judgmental container of time and space and energy to hold ourselves in. Unless we release shame, we're not going to get very far with releasing our anxiety. This could look like saying to yourself, even though I'm feeling scared right now, I'm choosing to love and accept myself. That's one of the main affirmations and principles of emotional freedom technique that I sometimes use inside of my work. And the brilliance of it, right, is that the first thing that we need to do is let ourselves know it's okay. It's not bad that we're feeling this way, right? And this in and of itself is so dang powerful because we are unraveling ourselves from a whole paradigm that shames and judges all of our body and all of our emotions. So meeting ourselves in safety and releasing shame is so key to creating those conditions where, hey, we can actually meet ourselves in the experience of anxiety, feel those feelings, and then release them. We can become so obsessed with releasing our anxiety and getting beyond our anxiety that can lead us to disassociate, to numb out, to override. And when we do this, that anxiety, that stress is stored inside of our body, creating more long-term pain, illness, and autoimmune conditions. So it serves us to take a pause, to feel this anxiety, and to use some of these somatic tools to support ourselves. Okay, I want to let you guys in on one of the big secrets of somatic trauma release. It's a principle that we call pendulation. Pendulation, if you think about a pendulum and how that pendulum moves, tick-tocking in and out, side to side, left and right, we can use this principle to support our practice. We want to feel into the safety that we're creating for ourselves. Okay, we're closing the doors, we're creating some boundaries. We are creating safety for ourselves. Now, a big part of how we experience safety is through connection and co-regulation. So this could look like taking some time to snuggle your pet. This could also look like taking some time with bare feet on the earth to connect our energy with the energy of the earth. We could also just do this inside, feeling into the support of the earth and also feeling into the support of spirit, maybe even calling on your ancestors or your guides here, creating this container for yourself where it's safe to drop in and to feel what you're feeling. This part is so crucial. Once we do that, we start to connect to that frequency of anxiety inside of us. That anxiety is usually an upward, kind of like a roaring fire, agitated, frustrating, hot, fiery. We may have, our armpits may be sweating and maybe like smelling. There's like this agitation inside of the system. So we want to let ourselves go into that experience first and foremost, okay? So we're going to pendulate into safety, and then we're going to pendulate into anxiety. We're going to let ourselves feel that. So that may be something like, I'm going to let myself feel the contraction. And then we're going to pendulate back into safety and into parasympathetic activation, right? Into grounding that anxiety. So after we've created this safety, we'll go into anxiety. This could look like a clench. This could look like a shake. I love music along with these practices. Inside my online studio, I have complete guided practices with the music to help you go in and to feel that anxiety and then guiding you down into releasing the anxiety. So we want to feel that anxiety. It may look like standing up and shaking, making a sound or allowing the frequency of that anxiety to resound and ring through our body. We may want to stomp our feet, right? And we're just letting ourselves feel it. Since anxiety is a mobilizing force, right, we want to actually lean into that mobilization. It could look like a running in place or some like jumping jacks as we allow ourselves to feel that frequency, that tone of that anxiety. So we want to lean in and let ourselves feel that, and then we want to take it down. So a down-regulating practice would be, for example, a child's pose. When we fold ourselves forward, we are slowing down the breath and slowing down the heart rate. In anxiety, the heart rate is speeding up and the breath is getting short and fast. So ultimately, we want to give ourselves the opposite of that experience. We want to get low, we want to slow things down, we want to ground our energy. But if we just try to ground our energy and just been like let's just ground ourselves, be peaceful, right? It's like we're kind of gaslighting our experience. We need to actually meet the frequency of that anxiety and then take it down. We may need to pendulate between those experiences several times before we could finally rest into a state of parasympathetic activation, a state of rest and digest, peace, calm, and safety. So what I'm inviting you into is a few alternating cycles of feeling into that anxiety, shaking, stomping, running in place, whatever feels authentic to you. Maybe putting on a piece of music that helps you tap into that anxiety, to that stress, to that fear, to that threat. Maybe doing that for like 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Really, this process is guided by your own body's wisdom, right? So every instruction that I give you is going to be a starting place. Ultimately, you're going to take that instruction and let it guide you back to your own body's wisdom. If you feel an impulse to do something else, maybe anger arises in that moment, right? And you take a pillow and you slam that pillow, okay? Great. You're going to let that anxiety transform into alchemize as it needs to. And then after you do your sympathetic activation, feeling into the intensity, the mobilization of that charge, you're going to go into a rest and digest pose, something like a child's pose. I also like to do this up against the wall where I'm just hands on the wall, head on the wall, and just feeling the support and the steadiness of that wall holding me. So go into that anxiety and then lay yourself on the ground, palms to the ground, forehead to the ground. Slow down your breathing. When we're down regulating, we want to accentuate the exhale, right? So as we lay down, we want to slowly inhale through the nose and exhale maybe with a sigh. We're going to slowly inhale through the nose and then exhale. That tone is going to help vibrate the vagus nerve, which is the central component to our nervous system. It's going to help us downregulate out of anxiety and into that rest and digest state. So alternate back and forth. Let yourself go into that anxiety and then lay on the ground. Go back into that anxiety. Let it be expressed through your body. And then once again, child's pose. Now in this child's pose, this might start to release some tears, some other kind of sounds or shakes. Some other poses might be inspired from this place. Now, The biggest instruction that I can give you is from here to let what wants to happen happen. You may have an impulse to then flip over on your back. Maybe the next interval of that sympathetic activation is to put your feet and your hands up in the air and shake, shake, shake from down on the ground on your back. Ah. And then maybe you want to curl in to the fetal position on the side and hold yourself in safety and create an extended exhale. And ground your energy. Okay, we want to remember that the earth is such a powerful force. Just like we compost our food scraps and she miraculously transforms that into nutrients to create new nourishment, we can also release these negative emotions down to the earth, okay? Since anxiety is this upward, fiery, mobilizing force, we want to ultimately take that down. We want to send that sympathetic charge down to the earth, down through the soles of the feet, down through the palms of our hands, out through the mouth. Sometimes we may even be inspired to like we're gonna almost like puke and release through our voice, through our throat, through our mouth. On the exhale, okay? So you want to be open to the expression that wants to come through you, okay? But the key here that I want you to take away is understanding that it's a sympathetic charge, creating the conditions of safety and releasing shame, and then allowing yourself to meet that frequency of anxiety and then pendulate back and forth between that charge of anxiety and that grounding, down regulating exhale and slowing down the heart rate. Play around with this. Let me know in the comments if you did this, if it helped. And remember that we're not gaslighting ourselves by just shaming ourselves and trying to calm ourselves right away. No, we're going to meet the frequency of that emotion first and then take it down. And most often, we're going to have to pendulate back and forth between these two states a few cycles at least, until then we let ourselves rest into that parasympathetic state, that grounded, safe, slow state. Okay? From there, we may then, once we're feeling safer, flip over onto our back and start to expand our awareness. Or we may come over to the window and start to like look at the treetops and the sky, remembering that we are going to get tunnel vision in that experience of anxiety. That is literally all there is to our brain, right? So we want to lean back, expand our awareness open, and start to see the bigger picture, right? There's more at play than just the thing we're scared about and just the action that our anxiety is telling us we must do now. There's so much more, right? So we are settling our system, and then we're going to open and expand the awareness to look at the bigger picture. There is safety here as well as this threat. Let's notice that. And there are way more options and solutions than that anxiety is going to have us believe. So as we soften and expand back, we open our awareness to see the bigger picture and to welcome in the safety and solutions that are also here for us beyond just that experience of anxiety. I hope this helps. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking about anger in the next video, how to release anger through your body.